Welcome back. Interim Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe with fiery testimony on Capitol Hill yesterday, admitting the faults in security on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, when a 20-year-old shooter was able to climb on top of an unoccupied roof and fire 8 shots at the former president.
Our next guest was in the room questioning the timing of communication between agents. Take a listen.
But coming into that command center, there's also the word gun coming through one of the radio frequencies. I would think that would be communicated pretty quickly to everybody across the spectrum. 30 seconds is not long, but that's an NFL play plus a huddle plus the next play. I mean, that's quite a bit of time still to be able to respond.
It appears that there was an offer by a state or local agency to fly a drone on our behalf, and I'm getting to the bottom as to why we turned that down.
All right, for more on this, I want to welcome in Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. Senator, good to see you this morning. So you were part of that group of senators demanding answers from former Secret Service agent, or director, I should say, Kimberly Cheadle, when she arrived at the RNC a few weeks ago. It's now been a week, though, since she resigned. We still have so many unanswered questions. Do you feel like you got enough answers yesterday from Interim Director Rowe?
We get 10% more answers, but we still have a lot to go. One of the lines of questioning that I had that you just played was, tell me about the 30 seconds between when the word gun came through the radio and what happened next. What was the radio traffic? We don't know. The FBI said yesterday they do have the transcript of that interplay of what was happening on the radio at that time, but they couldn't turn it over to it at this time. So it's just one of a whole series of issues. Why didn't the counter drone system work earlier in the day? Why didn't they have overhead drone during the event to be able to watch? Why didn't local law enforcement look left out of their counter sniper position to be able to see that person on the roof about to take a shot? Why didn't individuals respond? Why didn't Secret Service move to their place as soon as they heard the word gun over the radio in the command center? There's just a million questions that are still sitting out there that we're going to continue to be able to press to get answers, not just to be able to find out what happened that day, but to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, why haven't we heard from the Secret Service sniper that took out Matthew Crooks? I want to hear from this agent when he first realized there was a threat on that rooftop. And then, fine, the picture will go down in history as one of the more iconic political photographs. But Donald Trump, who is, 6'2", 6'3", should not have been allowed to stand up and put his fist up in the air. I know the picture is great. And I'm sure that will be made into a statue outside his presidential library. But, Senator, this should never have happened. He wanted to get his shoes after he was shot. I'm sure he was, reacting to what was going on. I can't imagine.
That has got to be the most classic Donald Trump of, hang on, I need to get my shoes kind of moment.
I need to get my shoes.
And
they let him.
Hey, I want to grab my shoes, and they were continuing to circle around. You're right, but to be able to let him at that point, and then to be able to also not fully cover him as he's trying to be able to get off the stage. I'm always grateful to the Secret Service that literally put their bodies between danger and between the president.
Right.
So that is a heroic action for them every single time they do that. But there are some obvious questions there as well.
Okay, so, you watch Ronald Reagan, John Hinckley, 1981, out of the Washington Hilton. They bruised Reagan's ribs. He wasn't as big as Trump, but Reagan was a big guy, and the Secret Service manhandled him into the presidential limo and took him to the hospital. Thankfully, it probably saved his life. But this could have been a whole lot worse here, Senator. I'm just wondering now, given the fact that we're almost 4 weeks removed from this assassination attempt, what do you think took place here? What's your take just on being in the room and talking to Kimberly Cheadle and now Ronald Rowe on what happened on July the 13th?
Yeah, not just one mistake, dozens of mistakes were made that day. And I think Secret Service had just become too comfortable and too trusting. They've done so many rallies with Donald Trump that have been these very large, very energetic rallies with very peaceful crowds, people coming together to talk about how do we make America great again. I mean, those are great moments. And I think the Secret Service was just lulled into complacency and did not check the plans for local law enforcement, wasn't following through in different areas, didn't have their counter drone up, didn't have their own drone up, didn't follow through on all the different issues on communication and making sure their command center, again, not one mistake, a lot of mistakes that were made that day, and they've got to be able to tighten it up. With Director Cheadle gone now, she should have resigned immediately. She took several days, but she should have resigned immediately in that sense. Now with the new direction and with the new acting director, we've spoke to him often. He spoke to us specifically about changes that they're going to make in the process right now. I've talked to some Secret Service agents in the field as well who are very affirming of the changes, saying these are changes that we have asked for months and have not received back from Kimberly Cheadle that now we're actually getting. So I just think this was an issue of Secret Service just letting their guard down in that moment from senior leadership and not following through on what their first mandate is.
Yeah, and one thing that really stood out to me, and he said that Secret Service had no idea that the guy had a gun until that gun was fired. He said that was local law enforcement's job. Why would it be local law enforcement's job? The feds are at the top. The Secret Service was in charge of this entire operation.
Yeah, they were in charge of the entire operation. What Secret Service is, they had their perimeter too small. Clearly, the perimeter should have been larger. There's Secret Service in the middle, then there's other federal law enforcement on the second tier, then there's local law enforcement on the third tier, which, by the way, is helpful because local law enforcement know the people in the area. They know the people that are the threats, and as people are approaching, they're going to have a greater chance of knowing who are the major threats there. But Secret Service had their perimeter too small, and they should have had a larger perimeter, and they should have certainly made sure our rooftop was covered. It's one of the things that the acting director said, that he went up on that rooftop his second day in the job, laid down there, and said, we should have covered this spot. It is inexcusable that we were not covering the spot. And he is correct at that point. And whoever made that call in the field to say, oh, that's fine, that doesn't need to be covered by us, they need to be removed from their job.
Yeah, and that's on the Secret Service, not the Butler Township Police. That's a town with 13,000 people. The Secret Service, obviously superior in training, in capabilities, technology, and handling events like this. Hopefully we can learn from it, Senator. Stay on it. Great to have you on this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Good to see you again.
All right. Lots